All right. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. I need to make sure that we are live everywhere. We had some technical difficulties today, so I could not go to sleep until we corrected the problem, which is why you just see me. It is about 1:45 a.m. And if anyone is watching this live at this time, if we do not have sound at any point, I need you to put it in the comment section. So today we had a live. It was a great live. We were talking about 3 ways to avoid probate. So I'm going to give a recap so that I can sleep tonight. I did want the issue to get corrected because, again, I don't want anyone to lack in any educational material in this regard. So we are trying this again, and I'm going to try to keep abreast on any sound issues. So let's start again. All right. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Good morning, everyone, at this point, and it's happy Friday. We are again live on all platforms: Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So do me a favor, if you happen to be watching or when you watch the replay, go right now on whatever platform you're on and click share. It is very important that we get this information out. So you know how we do. Tag your family, your friends, your enemies, and frenemies. Luke 6:28 commands us to bless those who curse you. So go ahead and tell them Lady G is on the line. In fact, go tag some of mine too while you're at it. As I mentioned before, we did have this recording earlier in the evening. But the enemy is a liar. And I believe that where you have to come back, you just come back with a vengeance. So earlier, Arthur Jones did join me, and he gave so many great nuggets on having a trust. And I'm going to have him back at some point so that he can reiterate what he shared. Just to give you a little background on Arthur, Arthur is the co-owner of the N. Jones Agency. He is the co-author of Economic Clarity. Arthur has 25 plus years of practical international business experience in the American, Asian, and European markets. And if you want to get information on investing in coins, he is your guy. He is the man. He is what I call the walk-in encyclopedia. He can assist you with risk mitigation, entity creation, and he is a generational wealth asset coach. So I was very happy that he joined me today. And if I don't pick up my earring that just fell out, it's going to drive me crazy. So I was very happy that he joined me today. And we again gave some great nuggets, but I did want to re-record my portion because I felt that it was very important for you guys to get. So let's pray again. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we ask that you anoint this live. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen, amen, and amen. Listen, again, this is very important to me. I'm very passionate about it. So as I said earlier, let's get a few things out the way because my name is Lady G. one, share this information with your family. If you don't have the talk with them, I surely will. Two, I don't know who told the lie, but GoFundMe is not the funeral expense account. And three, your family should not have to run to borrow from Peter to pay Paul to bury you. And then I want you to go back and catch the replay that was posted a few weeks ago. It is entitled on my YouTube channel, Life Insurance with Living Benefits. You may get some information there that will not be covered tonight. And just go over and subscribe. So click like, comment, and subscribe. The link somewhere during this live will be posted, but I want you to go and grab the Life Insurance Living Benefits 101 ebook. It is very important to grab that because you need to know what different types of policies are out there. There are different strokes for different folks. It breaks down the different types of life insurance products available. So if you don't get a policy with me, whoever you get a policy with, they won't be able to talk you into something that is not right for you. There are people, and I know, walking around with a term policy thinking it's permanent. And we need to stop the madness. So again, don't forget to click like, comment, and share. The link for the estate planning guide and the life insurance with living benefits 101 ebook is posted right there on the website. We are discussing 3 things you should know to avoid probate. One thing I want to get out the way, having a living will does not avoid probate. However, having life insurance, having an annuity, and having a trust can. Let me also clear something up. I am a financial professional, not a financial advisor. A financial professional helps you with your insurance and retirement needs. A financial advisor helps you manage your money. You pay me nothing, not even a quarter. You pay an advisor anywhere from maybe $200 to $400 an hour, or $1,000 to $55,000, depending on how much they're managing of your money. So just want to clear that up because people get confused on that. Now, I want to go over some accounts that a person typically would have, which would most likely be considered an earned income account, meaning that it is reported to the IRS. And when you file the paperwork, say if you have an income-based housing, you would have to report this income. You have checking account, savings account, CDs. Those 3, never lose money in it unless you just take it out. You don't need a manager to manage it, but it does go through probate. Okay. You have 401ks, 457s, 403bs. You can lose money on those guys, and you're paying a manager. I'm not even going to get yet into the 401ks, but you just need to know what you have. Also, the same thing with IRAs and stocks. You could lose money. It's tied to the stock market. So when it goes up, so does your money. If it goes down, so does your money. And then you have annuities, depending on what type, because just like insurance policies, there are different types of annuities. You're not paying a manager to handle it, and you will not go through probate. Same thing with life insurance. And then you have the college funds, 529s. You can lose some money in there depending on how that money is used. And it can go through probate. There is a chance of that. And then we want to deal with the Social Security benefits because we do not want it to be double taxed. I believe that when you retire, you should get every bit of your dime. So let's go on. If you are banking on your family getting a hold of funds in some of these accounts to bury you, you just might be mistaken. When you pass away, your accounts are frozen and they go through probate. Why? To ensure that your bill collectors get paid. No one is worrying how your family is going to bury you. I am also a funeral consultant, and I have watched families. I have sat with families in the funeral homes. Now, first of all, I am a funeral consultant. I am independent from the funeral homes. I am there for the families. You could call it what you want, to help with the repast, get the obituary. Um, uh, I have clients that hired me because they could not walk into their loved one's home once they passed. So we go in and we clear out the family's home and of the belongings so that they can either give up the apartment or whatever the case is going to be. You can call it the party planning. My thing as a funeral consultant is I want to take the load off of families so that they can grieve in peace. Because I find so often people are so busy when they lose loved ones. I don't know who could be sending me a fax at this hour. Sorry, guys, I got distracted. When they're grieving, they should be able to grieve in peace, but instead they're running to get the clothes for the funeral home, or where am I going to have the repast? Oh my goodness, I didn't do the programs, or I got to call this one and that one. I try to take the burden off of the family so that they can grieve in peace, because if they do not, when it comes down to that cemetery and throwing that dirt over the casket, and then there's the breakdown. Why? Because they were so busy running around that the adrenaline was pumping. They did not have a chance to stop and say, wait a minute, I just lost someone. So with that said, I try to take that off, because you realize people lose loved ones, and because that adrenaline was pumping, they have breakdowns after that cemetery because they did not have time to process. Not that it would be easier, but just taking the load off. And then there's people that don't want to walk into a funeral home and pick out a casket. So I will do that for you. It's just trying to be there to take the burden off of the family. My great grandmother used to say that from a little girl, I was the one that would want to go to all the funerals. I didn't have to know you, but I was running up to console you. Some things don't die. But I believe that God gave me this gift for a reason, and I'm going to use it to his glory. So with that said, I am used to sitting in the funeral home with the families and them picking out this or picking out that. And then when the bill comes, they're like, oh, wait a minute, there wasn't a policy. And then they're trying to look at the director like, can we get a payment plan? What are we doing here? So we want to get past that. So again, you might have money held in an account of one of the accounts that I just read out earlier. But your family can't get access to them because it's now frozen, because it has to go through probate. Again, because your bill collectors have to get paid. So as I was saying, I as a funeral consultant, I've watched families jet to the ATM machine because they're trying to get that little bit of money that they can, and then they're surprised they're locked out. Why? Because it has to go through probate. So don't be that one that tells me they don't need life insurance because they have $1 million in the bank account. You don't have a clue if your family is going to see that $1 million, and they're sure not waiting along to figure out if that's the money they need to bury you. So let's talk a little bit about probate. What is probate? When a person dies leaving a will, the legal process that takes place is called probate. A will only needs to be probated if the descendant died with assets, and it varies by state, but let's just say, for example, 30,000 or more. Before the will has any legal effect, it must be admitted to probate by the surrogate's court located in the county where the person died. Probate is the term for a legal process in which a will is reviewed to determine whether it is valid and authentic. Probate also refers to the general administering of a deceased person's will or the estate of a deceased person without a will. Okay. After an asset holder dies, all right, the court appoints either an executor named in the will or an administrator if there is no will to administer the process of probate. This involves collecting the assets of a deceased person to pay any liabilities remaining on the person's estate and to distribute the assets of their estate to the beneficiaries. We can avoid a whole lot of things, and we can avoid the huge probate costs and the complexities by having an easily authenticated will or using an investment vehicle that doesn't do not require probate. Okay. How probate works. A probate proceeding will typically begin by analyzing whether or not the deceased person has provided a legalized will. In many cases, the deceased person has established documentation which contains instructions on how their assets should be distributed after death. However, in some cases, the deceased they don't leave a will. So then where are we? Let's talk about we go to probate and there is a will. Okay. A deceased person who has provided a will is known as a testator. When a testator dies, the executor of the will is responsible for initiating the probate process. Typically, the executor is a financial advisor. The will can also provide details on a specified executor. All right. Now, if you are the executor, you will be responsible for filing the will with the probate court. Check with your state because they have different rules for each state for the time frame on which a will must be filed after death. Filing the will initiates the probate process. The probate process is a court supervised proceeding in which the authenticity of the will left behind is proven what? To be valid and accepted as the true last testament of the deceased. The court officially appoints the executor named in the will, which gives the executor the legal power to act on behalf of the deceased. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the executor. A will typically designates the legal representative or executor approved by the court. This person is responsible for locating and overseeing all the assets of the deceased. The executor has to estimate the value of the estate by using either the date of death value or the alternate valuation date, which is typically specified, or it is specified by the IRC, which is Internal Revenue Code. Most assets that are subject to probate administration come under the supervision of the probate court in the place where the descendant lived at death. The exception is real estate. Probate for real estate may need to be extended to any counties in which the real estate is located. Okay. But the executor also has to pay off, and I'm going to say this again, the executor also has to pay off any taxes and debt owed by the deceased from the estate. Creditors usually have a limited amount of time, approximately about a year, from the date of death to make any claims against the estate for money owed to them. And courts do not have to prove the debt. Again, the courts do not have to prove the debt. Claims that are rejected by the executor can be taken to court, where a probate judge will have the final say on whether or not the claim is justified. The executor is also responsible for filing the final personal income tax returns on behalf of the deceased. Any estate taxes that are pending can also come due within a year from the date of death. After the inventory of the estate has been taken, the value of the assets are calculated and the debts are paid off. The executor will then seek authorization from the court to distribute whatever is left of the estate to the beneficiaries. So if a deceased person's estate is insolvent, that means that their debts outweigh their assets. An administrator will likely choose not to initiate probate. And the process probating without a will is when a person dies without a will, he is said to have died in state. And an in-state estate is also one where the will presented to the court has been deemed to be invalid. The probate process for an in-state estate includes distributing the descendants' assets according to state laws. If a deceased person has no assets, probate may not be necessary. But in general, a probate court proceeding usually begins with the appointment of an administrator to oversee the estate of the deceased. The administrator functions as an executor, receiving all legal claims against the estate and paying off the outstanding debts. The administrator is tasked with locating any legal heirs of the deceased, including surviving spouses, children, and parents. The probate court will assess what assets need to be distributed among the legal heirs and how to distribute them. The probate laws in most states divide property among the surviving spouse and children of the deceased. If you have no will, no heirs, any remaining assets go to the state. I've had clients ask me, I don't have children, I don't have a husband, who do I leave my stuff to? Well, if you have this, maybe you want to look for a cure for a cancer research, or you're into animals, you can find something that money can be contributed to. I think you should come up with something like that personally instead of letting it go to the state. But that's just Lady G, in my opinion. And that don't mean much. Anyway, probating an estate without a will is typically costlier than probating one with a valid will. But no matter which way you shape or form it, it's going to be high in cost. The proceedings of a probate court are publicly recorded, which avoiding probate would ensure that all settlements are done privately, which I'm sure many people would like to do. Accumulated expenses can include anything from like court fees, professional service hours, and administration costs. Having an easily authenticated will is one of the most common ways to quickly move through a probate process. An efficiently distribute assets appropriately, which is why I suggest that one, you get that estate planning guide, and also look into making sure that your stuff is in order, even if it means having a trust. I have so many people going through the probate process. I have a young, well, I know a man who lost his wife a few years ago now, and he still cannot get into the property because it is still going through probate. We need to do better by our families, at least the ones we wanted to have our stuff. So, three things or three ways to avoid probate. Number one, life insurance. I'm here to tell you that there is more to insurance than term and whole. I will say this: if you only have only a term or group policy, which is what your job would give you, you're playing Russian roulette with your sanity and your life. Why do I say that? Term is what it sounds like. It is temporary. You can purchase it in 10, 15, 20, 30. They even have 40 years now, but I don't care. It will end at the end of that term. So you will be 10, 15, 20, 30, or 40 years older now looking for permanent insurance. With looking for permanent insurance, you may not qualify because you might have been diagnosed with something that would disqualify you, or you're going to wind up paying through the roof because you're at an older age. Insurance is based on your age and your health. Term has no cash benefit to you whatsoever. It is only beneficial to your beneficiary. I do not recommend term to my clients unless, again, I repeat, unless they absolutely cannot afford permanent insurance, because I do not want you out here naked. I'd rather you be in something than nothing. But the one thing I will tell them, the minute that your financial situation changes, I need you to turn this into a permanent policy. Then you have group life insurance, which is not really considered life insurance. So yeah, I'm just going to say group insurance. It's not even considered, because the minute this is what your job gives you and tells you, you don't have to pay anything. It's free. Or some do say contribute a few dollars. But the point is that when you quit, when you get fired or retire, you will not have that insurance. Now, there are some companies, there's always got to be a few, that will let you take that insurance with you. However, I promise you, you'll be paying more for it than if you had went and got your own permanent policy. So if you have term or group, I definitely think you should hit a button somewhere along the line. If it's not to me, then you can find somebody to get a policy with. But you can always book time on my calendar to make an appointment to get some quotes. Again, you don't pay me a dime. The only thing you are required to do is pay for that policy and don't let it lapse. Then, as I said, we have all different types of policies. I'm not going to go through them all today. If you can go back and watch the replay from the live from like 2 weeks ago, it'll give you a good breakdown, or go and grab that life insurance 101 ebook. But we know that there's term. We know that there's group. There is, Lord geez, whole life. There is fixed universal, variable universal, index universal life, and there's final expense. What I want to focus on today, because we're talking about the trust, I want to focus on the IUL, which is the index universal life. Again, I will reiterate this point, is that remember that it does have living benefits to it. So if you add terminal, critical, or chronic illness rider to the policies, it would be a great thing to do. Terminal illness rider is if you are diagnosed with less than 12 months to live, your policy will fully pay out 100% of the death benefit. One phone call to the insurance company upon diagnosis, and they will cut you a check up to 100% of the death benefit. If it's $1 million policy, it's up to $1 million. Critical illness rider. If you are, God forbid, diagnosed with a heart attack, a stroke, cancer, blindness, HIV, AIDS, you will be able to call the insurance company and get a check cut up to 90% of the death benefit. If it's $1 million policy, that's $900,000. Chronic illness is if you are diagnosed with an illness that keeps you from doing 2 of the 6 daily activities of the day: showering, bathing, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, back and forth from the toilet or the bed. One phone call to the insurance company, they'll cut you a check up to 90% of the death benefit. $1 million policy, $900,000. Why is that good? Because you will be able to heal in peace. That's peace. That's my famous word. I'm just trying to give you peace. Imagine, God forbid, being diagnosed with something and you can't go home and heal correctly because you're too busy stressing how the mortgage and the rent and is going to get paid, the electric going to stay on, the food going to get on the table for the kids, because you cannot go to your 9 to 5. So with that said, one phone call to the insurance company, they'll cut you the check and you can heal in peace. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do believe the graveyard is full of people that did not need to be there. The illness did not put them there. It was the stress that put them there, and they was not able to heal in peace. So this would be a great benefit. We had a young man, like I always say, had a stroke. And had a check cut for like $340,000. He healed from the stroke, thanks be to God, and paid off a house and whatever else he did with the check. So this is what you can actually do if it is on your policy. Listen, I need you to check your stuff. And more specifically, I need you to check your beneficiaries. I had a young woman who shared with me, she was the daughter who lost her mom, and mom passed. First of all, mom was married to dad, and they had, I believe, divorced. I don't think it was just separated. I believe they were divorced. And when mom passed, daughter was expecting to get that insurance policy, and guess who it went to? It went to dad. And the daughter said she knows for a fact that her mother would not have wanted her father to have that insurance money. Well, mom did not change the beneficiary. So if y'all don't want the exes to get the money, I'm going to need y'all to go and change those beneficiaries. This is a real thing. It was sad because the daughter said dad didn't even ask if she wanted $1. So it gets real. The main issues that we have in families and death, it comes down to money and things. So if we put our stuff in order, it would keep them from being able to go through any arguments, even though we'll find anything to argue about. However, though, if you have insurance, you don't have to fuss on how this funeral is going to get paid for. If you have a trust, you don't have to worry about who gets this and who gets that. So because you have your directions written out. Listen, let's deal with the real. Everyone looks forward to retirement, but until they look forward to it until it actually gets here. Why? Because they find out things that they didn't know and could have caught way beforehand. And that's why we're here to try to bring light to some things. If you don't know, back in the 1940s, taxes were the top tax bracket was 90%. Individuals paying taxes at that rate kept less than 10 cents out of every dollar they earned. 90 cents went to Uncle Sam. The Lord knew when I was supposed to be born. I'm telling you, there's no way. which is why it's always good to plan ahead because we never know where things will go. I said that I wanted to focus on the index universal life policies. I want to focus on what the benefits of having it is, and any type of insurance for that matter. Number one is the death benefit. So your family won't have to run to borrow from Peter to pay Paul to bury you. Okay. For pennies on the dollar, you can buy protection for your family that will ensure your family can continue in the lifestyle they are accustomed to, or not for that matter. There's some people that they're shocked when they get the policy paid out to them and they're living better. I had someone say that to me. They were living better with the person gone than when they were living. So, hey, life is what it is. So imagine your wife and children are depending on you as an income earner, and you die prematurely. Do you really want them to give up the house, the cars, and move into a one-bedroom apartment because they can't afford to live in the house that your family and children have become accustomed to? Number two, there's cash accumulation, which can be used at your discretion. There are no stipulations. It is tax-free cash. Unlike a 529, you can always make a tax-free withdrawal. Okay. Um, then you have a protection against market loss. Guarantees that your cash value will never have a negative return due to market losses. Okay. Unlike your 401ks, there are some 401ks in the red right now. If you like risk, then okay. If you like diversification, then okay. But if you want guarantees of making money and not losing it, then an IUL is what it is. It is not for everybody. If you're not going to use it correctly, you won't get the full benefits out of it. And that is full benefits is definitely overfunding the policy. And I believe I speak on that in my other replay on YouTube, so you could go back and catch it there. Then you have the annual reset provision. The annual growth to a policy's cash value is yours to keep forever. It can never be taken away due to negative market performance. So not only is the policyholder's initial cash value contribution protected from loss, but the annual growth is as well. So that's a huge benefit as far as I'm concerned. I tell everyone, if you're the person that can go to Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and put it on blackjack, Russian roulette, or go to the corner store for lotto tickets, if you could take risk and all that, then you can get you an IUL, put all the money you would have spent on those lotto and Russian roulette and put it in an IUL and let it grow. IULs also have the upside growth potential. There's one company that would say will give you a cap of 15%. So the floor might be 0.75. The roof may be 15%. That is, again, better than if you had the same amount of money sitting in a savings account and getting less than, I promise you, less than 1% interest. And in an IUL instead, get an opportunity to get up to 15%. So that is definitely a great thing. Then you have the tax deferred growth. Listen, I said you have tax-free access to, you have access to your tax-free cash, but there is tax deferred growth in the IUL. How? Why? If you withdraw all of your funds or cancel the policy, then all of the gain, which is the amount above the total premium payments, would be subject to tax, income tax, not capital gains tax. However, there is a way, again, to gain access to an equivalent of the cash value amount completely tax-free. And that's a good old thing called a loan. which you do not have to pay back. I always tell my clients, you have two options when you take money out of that policy: a withdrawal and a loan. If you take a withdrawal the same way you do your bank account, if you have $100 there, you take 100 out. What if it's your savings account? How much will you continue to make on that less than 1% interest rate that you was getting? Nothing, because you took everything out. The same thing with an IUL. You are taking from your cash cow. Instead, take a loan and you do not have to pay it back. You are your own bank. Okay. There is no minimum age or income requirement. Unlike tax qualified plans such as 401ks, and I'm not picking on 401ks, it's just what it is. 401ks, IRAs, life insurance has no minimum age, but 401k and IRAs do. It just is what it is. And nor does an individual need to have earned income in order to contribute to an IUL. There is no mandatory distribution. One of the many problems of saving money in a tax qualified plan like a 401k or IRA is that not long after you turn 70, you are forced to begin liquidating the account, whether you need the money or not. Why? Because the government doesn't get paid tax until you start withdrawing money. So it forces you to begin withdrawals in order for them to get their hands on the portion of your retirement account that essentially owes them the tax. But the IUL, however, does not come burdened with this or with most of the other bureaucratic red tape of traditional tax qualified plans. You as a person, you as a retiree, you get to choose how to use your money, not Uncle Sam. We all have to pay Uncle Sam, but you know my story. We don't have to give him any more than we have to. We just got to give him enough to keep us from behind bars. You also, with the IUL, you can access it at any age. With other retirement accounts, you have to be at least 60 years old without being penalized to take the money. With an IUL, your money is accessible at any age. I don't care if you're 18, 24, 30, 40, leaving 100% of the decision to you whether to take it out. Then you're also, depending on your state, you're protected from lawsuits. Whether by creditors, bankruptcy, lawsuits, or any other type of judgment. Continued investment if disabled. Waiver of premium for the disability. That means you will not lose your policy. It means that it will not lapse because you are now disabled. That is a great thing to have. And again, an IUL, any life insurance, does not create taxation on your Social Security benefits at retirement. All money that comes from a tax deferred plan like a 401k or an SCP or a simple IRA during retirement will be included as income that can negatively affect the income taxation of your Social Security benefit. You may be qualified to pay up to 50% of your Social Security benefit. If you're single and your income is between $25,000 and $34,000, you're paying 50% of your benefit in taxes. If you're married and filing jointly and your income is between $32,000 and $44,000, you're paying 50% in taxes of your Social Security benefits. Otherwise, if you're making more, forget it. You are paying up to 85% of your benefits. If you're single and making more than $34,000, or if you're married and filing jointly more than $44,000, 85% of your benefits. In some cases, even other types of retirement income may affect your benefit amount, even if you collect benefits on your spouse's account. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Your benefits may be reduced to account for the income you receive from a pension based on earnings from a government job or from another job for which your earnings were not subject to Social Security taxes. This primarily affects people working in state or local government positions, the federal civil service, or for those who have worked for a foreign country or foreign company. If you work in a government position and receive a pension for work that is not subject to Social Security taxes, your Social Security benefits received as a spouse or widow or widower are reduced by 2/3 of the amount of the pension. Do you hear what I'm saying? 2/3. I'm still stuck on the 2/3. Um, the rule that's it's called is the government pension offset, which is GPO. For example, I'm a numbers person. So if you are eligible to receive $1,200 in Social Security benefits, but then you also receive $900 a month from a government pension, your Social Security benefits are reduced by $600 to the account uh, to account for your pension income. So I told you 2/3, 2/3 of 1,200. Um, yeah, 2/3 of the 900 is taken from your Social Security. So your monthly income just went from 2,100 to 1,500. However, income coming out of a cash life value insurance policy, whether by withdrawal or loan, does not get subject to Social Security income taxation. And again, it avoids probate. So that is one of the benefits to being able to avoid probate. And then the second thing is annuities. Annuities is an account that is earned interest and can provide a guaranteed stream of payments over a predetermined amount of time. I had a client who called me in tears because they had got their pension and Social Security letter because they were about to reach higher. And it was unbelievable to them because they said, there's no way that I can live off of this. I gave this company all these years and this is all I get. And combined, it wasn't enough to live on. I mean, didn't know what to do. Now, here, this is your retirement years that you should not be stressed out. I often say we want to put you in a position that when you retire, you're not going back to work in a year because you can't afford to not work, because you can't afford anything that food, gas. I mean, everything is up, 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 up. I believe the gas was up 40%. So it's like, it's absolutely crazy, which is why you need to be creating your retirement account. And you can do it in an IUL. That's one of the possibilities that has a guaranteed component to not losing your money. So I was able, the little bit of money that she had left, because no one told her that if she took money from her 401k all those many years ago, that and put it in her checking account, she was going to have to pay so much taxes. So she got hit hard on the taxes, and then what little bit she had, she wound up spending. And then she went to another employment, started another 401k, wasn't as big, but we were able to take that, roll it over into an annuity, and now she is getting income for life. So she doesn't have to worry. Her money sits in an annuity, continues to grow at whatever rate, interest rate, but she is getting income. So her income will outlast her. And that's where we want to get to. Because if you go back, 401ks, if you take them before 59 and a half, you will pay penalties and taxes, where 50% of your money can be gone. Bye-bye. That all that money you seen there and 50% is going just by taxes and penalties alone. And then when you're 65, it don't get no better. You have to pay, if you're one of those people that you might end up being in the tax bracket, paying 35% in federal taxes and 15% in state taxes. Easy math, 50% of your money is gone. Then you reach 70 and a half. For the one that's paying 3 to 4% in RMD, which is required minimum distributions, which is minimum amounts that a retirement plan account owner must withdraw annually, starting with the year that he or she reaches 72. So uh, it's just crazy. So you have to start annually withdrawing by 72, the year in which you retire. 50%, you imagine paying 50% of excess tax, 30% federal, and 10% state at age 72. 90% of your 401k is gone. What do we work so hard for? So 401ks involves a whole lot of regulations, taxes, IRS, market laws, no guarantee, probate, and fees that can range from 12 to 17%. So I tell my clients, if you keep an eye on your 401k, don't let it get too top heavy, but we want to think about rolling it over into an annuity so that there is no chances of your Social Security being taxed. I think it's very important that we hold on to our hard-earned money. So again, that was number 2. So first we had life insurance, then we had annuities, and then we have a trust. And we had Arthur on earlier speaking about that. And I will not go into depths because that's his lane and not mine. But what I will say is, you often hear me talk about the $1 million baby policy, getting that $1 million policy on those babies so that when they're ready to go to college, they can go instead of worrying about a student loan and being penalized if they don't go to school, like a 529 will do, or buying their first car without having to do an auto loan at 20% interest rate, or buying their first house, paying for their wedding, being prepared for retirement. Guess what? That $1 million policy is good, but when Boo Boo turned 18, they might not be in the mindset to handle $1 million. So you should have a trusted place to outline the rules on which you want this money to be distributed. You could put rules in there. You could say, Boo Boo got to make these certain amount of grades, and then they can receive such and such amount, or just give Boo Boo an allowance of $5,000 a month. If you remember, Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina, when Whitney passed, Bobby was the beneficiary of Whitney's estate. And how Whitney had it written out, it was, and I can't even think now the percentage, but she was to get a certain amount when she turned 18, and she would get the remainder. I think it was like 2%, because I remember the number. It was 2 million. Yes, that's exactly what it was, because Whitney's estate was worth 20 million, and Bobby was able to get 2 million at age 18. But as we all know, another stipulation she had is that Bobby could get the remainder of the estate when she turned, it was either 23 or 24. And we all know that Bobby did not make it to see that age. So that never played out. But Whitney had written out that her mom would be next in line to get everything, which thank God her mom's still here, but her mom did not want to take on the responsibility of that. So she passed it on to a cousin that I believe was familiar with working with Whitney in the business. So this is where things come in line, having directions written out. And that is what a trust can do. It can protect you. Arthur often say, the trust would not be in your name. So it's protection. You could put a house in there, the life insurance in there, and the trust pays for it. And I'm going to have Arthur back. Arthur does join me on Clubhouse on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, but I will have him back so he's live on all these platforms so that he can go again in deep depth with you to let you know the benefits of having a trust. So again, guys, I just want to thank you, those that will watch the replay. I am so appreciative. Could not go to sleep tonight until I brought this information to you again. And call me crazy, that's just how I am. But definitely wanted to make sure you get that information. So hopefully I can sleep tonight. So those that are going to watch the replay, I hope that you get something from it. Share it. Share it, so that those that need the information will get it. There is the link on my calendar, for my calendar, if you want to connect and get a policy or talk about an annuity. Actually, if any insurance needs that you need, whether business or individual or auto insurance, property insurance, home insurance, all that stuff we can talk about and get you into. I'm going to come back and do another live on Keyman Insurance. For those business owners out there, it is very important that you cover yourself. We work so hard to create a business. And just like that, it can go under because we did not prepare. Just like we talk about insurance and talk about a trust, Keyman Insurance is covering your business, covering yourself, covering your key employees. Because if something was to happen to you or your key employees, you might be depending on that employee to bring in $5 million, and something happens to them, whether they pass or have a disability or lose their part in the business in a divorce proceeding. That policy would pay out so that business would not go under, but it would continue going until you could find a replacement, at least help. Okay, so I'm going to come back and do a live on that because I want to talk to our business owners, because I think that's very important to make sure, because we're not talking about liability insurance, which I can get you that too, but we're not talking about liability insurance. We're talking about liability insurance covers you if someone slips and falls at your business. We're talking about covering someone's life. So if something happens to them, whether by disability, again, divorce, or death, that the business will still continue on. Liability is not going to do that for you, boo-boo. So we will come back and discuss that. So, all right, guys, thank you again. I'm very appreciative. And I pray the blessings of the Lord be upon you. Okay. May he keep you from all sickness and disease. May he keep you from dangers seen and unseen, covered under his precious blood. I pray that if there's any ailments in the body, that he touch you right now from the crown of your head to the very soles of your feet. The enemy is running rampant with all types of sickness and diseases, but I decree and declare that he is a liar and the truth is not in him. I curse the root and the seed. The formation be destroyed in Jesus' name, because he is the great healer. He is the great physician, and I believe God. So I pray that you guys have a remaining of the great week you've ever had. I pray that you have the best weekend. And I pray that the next time I see you, you will be better off than you was on this day. Why? Because the best is yet to come. Have a great evening or morning, everybody. Shalom.